Alright, everybody, welcome in. It's chess time. So, I've been studying my endgames, and here I am on my puzzles, and we're sliding down here to our checkmate patterns. And last time we were talking about, I picked up these neat little flashcards, and they're about checkmate patterns, the Boden's mate, and dovetail mate, and some of these others we talked about, Anastasia mate, Arabian mate, and they've got the cool pattern on the back. And so this one is the Boden's mate, and it is essentially crisscrossing bishops. Now, two bishop mating is one of the hardest patterns I have. I'm not good at it, but there's two different ways two bishops can team up. You can have the Boden's mate where they are crisscrossing, and you can have the two bishops mate where they are side running parallel. We are going to take a look at the Boden's mate, or the double bishop mate. The Boden's mate is one we're going to look at. This is one that I am not good at. I've tried some of these before, and I am very bad at spotting these. I've had them happen to me over the game where I've completely missed checkmates because of a crisscrossing bishop pattern. Two bishops can team up to checkmate the king, and so two bishops at the end of a game are very powerful. But it's not always the easiest thing in the world to spot. For instance, starting here we have this. Next up I'm looking at, that would be the two bishops mate, or the double bishop mate. But we want the Boden's mate, maybe Boden, I think it's Boden. So we're looking at something like this. The problem is I don't know how to get there. Now the question is, since the bishop, one bishop is already cutting off the king's escape, the king's other escape is blocked off by his own pieces. If we could get this bishop in place, that's checkmate. This pawn, though, is doing a good job of defending. Here we get the sacrifice. The only thing that's stopping us from checkmating is this pawn. Well, if we slide the rook up with check, it almost forces, and in fact it is a complete forced move. The king only has one legal move to capture back here, which now opens us up to checkmate. And sure enough, we're cutting off the king, and the king has his escape blocked by his own pieces. They are not easy to spot, but they do come up often enough that I want to be prepared. Alright, so looks to be almost identical situation. In fact, very identical situation. We want to crisscross our bishops. And to do that, we need to remove this pawn. And when we look at it, these are covered. If we can get the bishop here, that would be covered, and that would be covered. And the king's only escape is blocked off. Let's go for another sacrifice. Boom, checkmate. Another exactly identical one. In fact, this one we don't even have to do anything. We just swoop in for the checkmate. Now, would I have seen that over the board? That's the million-dollar question. I don't know. So far, no, I haven't seen them. But I'm hoping to practice enough of these that I get better at spotting them. Same exact pattern. Same exact pattern. Same exact pattern. It'd be nice to get one different. Okay, now do we have something different? Yes, we have some differences here. This bishop is already cutting off, so we want our other bishop to come up to crisscross. And sure enough, we can see where our crisscross is going to happen. But we need to eliminate this knight. Now, I don't have anything that can eliminate it right away. But I do have. Notice the king is completely cut off. If I slide the queen up, the only, we would sacrifice the queen, bring the rook up with check. The knight has to block, but now if the rook captures the knight, the king can escape. but we're not going to let the king escape because that's where we're going to bring our bishop in. So a little bit more complicated. And if this were over the board, I would think long and hard about ways to sacrifice my bishop in order to open up my queen. But because I'm studying this specific pattern, hopefully we'll find, we'll be able to see it easier. But this looks like a queen sacrifice and not taking the material, because again, if we capture here, these squares are covered, these squares are covered, but this is wide open. And then once we allow the king to escape here, then we try to check, then the king can just start walking wherever he wants. We don't want that. But if we slide up now, forgot about the knight. But if we slide up now, these are all covered. This is now covered. This is covered, and the king is blocked. We're back to our old friend, our old standby here. This is the same pattern, checkmate. But I mean, that's what you want to do, is you want repetition to hopefully see these positions over the board. Yep. All right, aha. Slightly different pattern, because we notice that our rook is blocking the way. And we notice that this guy is defended twice, so it looks like we're going to end up sacrificing both the rook and our queen in order to get a checkmate. Now again, tell me you would see this over the board. Tell me, look at me in the eye and tell me that this is something you would have thought to do. Sacrifice a rook and a queen in order to get a checkmate. We have to be able to see these checkmates in order to make these decisions. If I were playing this position over the board, I could easily lose this. Check, my opponent captures. Check, my opponent captures. Checkmate. And the king is blocked. Wow. All right, so I'm just taking a little bit of second to take in the position here. We definitely have to move this knight out of the way. And we're thinking, man, it'd be nice if there was a good discovery. But do we even care about a good discovery? This is defended. If we just move the knight anywhere, this becomes... This is check. My opponent could push the pawn, and then I don't have a follow-up. Oh, man. So I'm looking for double check so that we force the king into an untenable position, but that's not going to work. So what if we move the knight into a position to attack this pawn, which we can't because our knight is on a light square. We're moving it to a dark square where it will be attacking a light square. So we can't... Oh, we want it to be attacking this light square, excuse me. It won't matter, though. In this case, we win a queen, but it won't matter. That's not the checkmate we want. We're trying to get checkmate. So my first thought is just move the knight out of the way, right? Move the knight here so it's guarding this square. This is check. But this can block check, this can block check, this can block check. The rook can block check. If the rook blocks check, then it does become checkmate. But if the queen or the pawn blocks check, if the pawn blocks check and we take with the pawn, next move we'll be able to push the pawn forward. But the question is that one move too slow? Because remember, one move is the only difference between winning and losing. If we had moved the knight here, for instance, yeah, that might be too slow because this comes either I get checkmated in one move myself, or my opponent gets a queen, but that might be too slow as well, because then I have access to push the pawn and get my check, but then the queen comes over and I pick up the queen, but then my opponent has checkmate. So this is not as simple. Check, blocking the queen from entering the position, then the pawn push, then we take with check, then the rook, then we take with checkmate. Boom. And that's how we think through these things, is we have to figure out how, yes, checkmate. Again, would I have seen that over the board? Not right away, but the more I do these, maybe I'll start spotting some of them. All right, for black, we're cutting off of this. So this is our familiar pattern, which we're aware of. Grab and checkmate. Identical position again. Grab and checkmate. So we are black, a slightly different position again. Okay, this looks like a queen sacrifice. Check, takes with checkmate. Check, blocks, checkmate. Check, takes, check, block, checkmate. I think we got it. Yep. So again, just trying to see these patterns, and then maybe we'll spot them over the board one day. And you know what? If we find this pattern where we wouldn't have before, then this training is worthwhile, and we have successfully upped our game. Is this just checkmate by itself? King is cut off. No, it's not. Here's one. Here's one I see it now because I'm specifically looking for it. Oh no. The only thing stopping me from getting that checkmate in is this particular bishop. Okay, I'll take it. And it comes with check. That's important, because then we get the checkmate. We don't let our opponent's king escape. All right, last one. Yeah, this looks kind of like the same thing. No, because the knight can take, and then this doesn't work. Okay, so we have to take with the queen here. Take with the queen, and then bring the bishop in. All right, so that is the Boden's mate. And it is a pattern where a bishop mates while another bishop cuts off the escape route of the king. All right, guys, this was fun. I hope you guys learned something. I hope you had some fun doing it. I'll talk to you next time. Thanks, bye.